Rain hammers the empty intersection as Alex Mercer grips a buzzing phone, and the city feels like a witness that refuses to speak. A woman's voice said, "If you do nothing, your child dies." Alex said, "Tell me where she is, and take me instead." The voice laughed softly, a blade in velvet. Evelyn said, "You lost the right to bargain when you quit on me." Headlights smear across puddles, and guilt climbs his throat like smoke. Alex said, "I will do what you want, but prove she's alive." A small sob leaks through the line, and silence clamps down after it. Mara said, "You have 12 hours, and one choice, hero." Jonah's text pings like a flare, urging him not to trust the call. Alex said, "I trusted the wrong people once, and I want again." He sees his reflection fracture in the wet asphalt, two faces arguing. The city hums indifferent while the clock in his head starts screaming. He knows the cost that's being named is his soul, and the receipt will last forever. Alex said, "I choose, but I choose on my terms." Alex crosses the intersection as sirens fade, and the rain needles his jacket until it feels like armor. Jonah said, "I traced a ghost route, and the call bounced off 3 dead servers." Alex said, "You always told me ghosts leave footprints." A delivery truck growls past, and the tail lights smear like bleeding promises. Mara said, "You have a watcher 2 blocks south. Keep moving, but act lost." Alex swallows the message like fire, and adjusts his stride to look uncertain. He passes a shuttered pharmacy, counting cameras, counting exits, counting breaths. Evelyn said, "Your silence is not negotiation, it is consent." Alex said, "Send proof of life, or I walk." A photo arrives, and the timestamp digs under his skin like a thorn. Lily clutches her toy in a dim room, and the floor shows fresh scuffs. Jonah said the metadata is real, but the room is a set. Alex said, "Every set has a back door, and I'll find it." The wind shreds a flyer off a pole, and the word missing flashes like a curse. He breathes slow and files the fear, because fear is a currency he can't spend. The cafe is closed, but the owner knows Alex, and the steam wand sighs like a tired witness. Jonah said, "I can spoof a breadcrumb that leads her off your trail." Alex said, "She will smell the lie before it cools." A neon open sign blinks between truth and dare, and the room smells of burnt sugar. Jonah drags maps across a cracked tablet, and alleyways fold like knives. Alex said, "She wants a theft that will sink a whistle mine, and yours." Jonah said, "Then we steal her certainty." Rain drums the awning, and every drop feels counted. Evelyn said, "Charming to watch the Boy Scout plan." Alex said, "You built the maze, which means you fear the Minotaur." Mara slides into the shadows near the door, like a rumor that learned to walk. Mara said, "TikTok hero. A safe house burns at dawn." Alex said, "Tell me something I can use, or be something I can ignore." She lays a key on the table, and it sleeps like a loaded answer. Jonah said, "It opens the back door you wanted, but it will cost you." Outside, the storm slackens, but the street keeps its secrets under a film of oil and light. Mara said the lock belongs to her shell company, the room is a stage, and the exits are watched. Alex said, "You are the ally who always arrives with strings." She smiles like a threat wrapped in silk, and points to a warehouse 2 blocks away. Evelyn said, "Bring me the drive from the evidence vault, no heroes, no police." Alex said, "You want your sins deleted while my daughter breathes on a timer." A payphone rings in the alley, like a relic that refuses to die. Dr. Cole said, "You can save her by losing yourself, and that is the math." Alex said, "You taught me to count people, not outcomes." A dog barks, and the echo makes the night feel hollow. Mara said, "Choose speed, or she chooses for you." Alex palms the key, and it warms like a heartbeat. He studies the warehouse windows, and counts the gaps between patrol sweeps. Jonah said, "If you go in, I can kill the cameras for 90 seconds. Alex said, 90 is enough if I stop being the man who hesitates." Alex moves toward the warehouse, and the rain turns to mist that clings to his breath. Evelyn said, "You were always a blunt instrument dressed as a conscience." Alex said, "I am a father with a deadline." The lock yields to the key, and the door shivers like it wants to confess. Jonah said, "Cameras dark in 3, 2, 1, go." Mara said, "When you come back out, the price will have doubled." Her corridor coughs up cold air, and his footsteps count the distance to sin. He imagines Lily's laugh and uses it like a compass that points to fire. Dr. Cole said, "The line you cross will not cross back for you." Alex said, "Then I will build a new line after she is safe." A guard's radio crackles, and fear rises but does not bloom. His hand hovers above the vault console, and the pass begs him to stop. Evelyn said, "Choose, Alex, or I choose for you." He enters the code that betrays who he was, and opens the future he may not survive. The final beep lands like a verdict, and the door slides open on Act 2. The vault hums like a cold throat, and the drive glares at him from its cradle. Alex said, "This ends when she breathes, not when you smile." Evelyn said, "It ends when you prove you can bleed for her." He pockets the drive and tastes copper in his fear. Jonah said, "2 guards loop back in 60. Take the north stair." Alex said, "I remember the last time I chose speed over clarity." Memory scratches his ribs like a trapped bird that knows his name. Dr. Cole said, "Conscience without action is theater, and theater saves no one." Alex said, "Action without conscience is a factory of ghosts." The corridor drafts icy breath across his neck, as if the building disapproves. He thinks of Lily counting stars and naming them after stray cats. Alex said, "Hold on, kiddo, I am coming as a storm and a shelter." Evelyn said, "Cute, but storms drown saints faster than sinners." The exit sign flickers, and every flicker sounds like a ticking heart. He steps into the stairwell and inherits the weight he cannot drop. The stairwell smells like bleach and thunder, and his mind cracks open to a softer day. Lily said, "Promise you won't be late for stars tonight." Alex said, "I will race the dark to get there first." The memory warms him like a coat stitched from sunlight. Jonah said, "North exit clear. Heat signatures are thin." Alex said, "Copy, but the past is making noise." He passes a maintenance door where his reflection looks like a stranger. Dr. Cole said, "Regret is a fine teacher that fails every exam." Alex said, "I study anyway because she deserves a better answer." He hears a laugh from the memory, bright as chalk on pavement. Evelyn said, "You want absolution, but I only sell outcomes." Alex said, "Then price it fair because I am done renting my soul." The stair rails ring under his grip like low bells. He breathes in, folds the memory, and hides it where panic cannot reach. He slips onto the roof, and the city spreads like a chessboard that bites. Jonah said, "I found a relay farm. We can spoof her satellites for 9 minutes." Alex said, 9 minutes is enough to become a story I hate." Antennas blink like patient animals waiting to be named. Evelyn said, "You will bring the drive to Pier 10 at dawn." Alex said, "Dawn is where liars look honest." Wynn lifts his jacket and tries to make a flag of his doubt. Jonah said, "You are not alone up here. Drones are circling slow." Alex said, "Let them film a man choosing the right wrong." He marks routes with his finger, carving lines that bruise the map. Dr. Cole said, "There is no clean victory, only clean intent." Alex said, "Then I will launder my fear with purpose." A siren drifts across the river like a tired violin. He pockets chalk from the parapet and decides which god to disappoint. The underpass holds a rain-sour smell and the sound of tires like waves. Dr. Cole said, "Bring the drive to me, and I will trade leverage for time." Alex said, "You taught me to hate shortcuts dressed as lifelines." Headlights stripe the concrete and make prison bars that move. Dr. Cole said, "I already compromised, so you would not have to." Alex said, "Then do not sell me the ruin that bought you comfort." His mentor's eyes hold both apology and a ledger. Evelyn said, "Listen to the doctor if you want to keep your hands pretty." Alex said, "Pretty is not the goal. Breathing is the goal. Water drips in slow metronome, daring them to confess. Dr. Cole said, choose the smaller wound, and you can still walk. Alex said, I will crawl if I must, but I will not trade her shadow. The city above rumbles and grit sifts down like tired snow. He turns away with the drive and leaves the sermon unblessed. He finds a loading bay with a busted camera and a working echo. Alex said, record this and send it when I say. Jonah said, your heartbeat is a drum solo. Breathe on 4. He lifts the phone and lets the truth make him heavier. Alex said, Lily, you once asked why heroes wear masks. He swallows a storm that will not fit his throat. Alex said, because sometimes they are not heroes yet, they are trying. A gust scrapes trash along the rail like paper bones. Mara said, you are behind schedule, but you sound honest. Alex said, honesty is cheap. Proof is what I am buying. Evelyn said, Pier 10 at dawn, or the star you love goes dark. Alex said, I will be there, and I will bring a mirror for your face. He ends the message, and lets the silence sign it. Jonah said, path is set, it will hurt. Alex said, hurting is cheaper than losing her name. The docks breathe diesel and fog while gulls carve the dark like warnings. Jonah said, thermal sweep shows 4 bodies at Pier 10 point. Alex said, 4 is either caution or theater. Mara said, she stacks decoys the way priests stack vows. Evelyn said, bring the drive or bring flowers. Alex edges past coiled rope and rust, counting cameras that blink like tired eyes. Dr. Cole said, you are sprinting into a sermon you cannot finish. Alex said, I will finish when she is in daylight. A forklift coughs awake and silence folds around the sound. Jonah said, I can ghost you for 9 minutes. Alex said, 9 is a lifetime if I stop trembling. The river slaps the pilings like a metronome that wants blood. He slips into a shuttered ferry lounge where benches hold the smell of salt and coffee. Sophia said, you do not know me, but your drive can free my report. Alex said, names are currency. Spend yours. Sophia said, Sophia Reed, and I filed the case she burned. The windows show a city that pretends not to watch. Jonah said, unknown voice print, but language cadence says truthful. Alex said, truth is a blade that cuts both wrists. Sophia said, that drive links her to a contract prison and a dead auditor. Alex said, and to me if I ever signed a bad night. She lays photos like trap cards, and the room tilts. Sophia said, save the child and kill the proof, or save many and risk one. Alex said, I hate math that counts hearts like coins. Outside the fog thins and sirens draw lazy lines across the water. Mara said, you have company, and their patience is rented. Jonah said, clone is at 60%, keep them busy. Alex said, I am a conversation they cannot afford. A drone whirs near the gantry like a metal insect with a badge. Evelyn said, you stall like a poet. I require a courier. Sophia said, stream a fragment. Force her to bargain in daylight. Alex said, fragments make martyrs and martyrs make orphans. Dr. Cole said, take the wound you can live with. He watches the progress bar tick like a heartbeat that fears honesty. Jonah said, 90%, do not move. Alex said, I move when the ground stops lying. The catwalk sings underfoot as tide gnaws at rust. Mara said, give me the decoy and keep your miracle. Alex said, you rescue with one hand and invoice with the other. She smiles in a way that remembers older wars. Dr. Cole said, I will stall her with protocol if you walk now. Alex said, you taught me the script. I want a new language. Headlights bloom at the pier mouth like an omen rehearsed. Evelyn said, step into the light and be useful. Sophia said, she will not shoot the package. She needs it clean. Alex said, clean died when she dialed my number. Jonah said, clone complete. Upload route green. Alex said, then let us sin with precision. Engines throb, and a black SUV yawns, open like a theater curtain. Evelyn said, "Approach alone, or the child forgets your name." Alex said, "Names are carved deeper than your threats." The drone dips, hungry for proof, and the river answers with glare. Sophia said, "I am pushing the teaser." 15 seconds of her ledger. Jonah said, "Uplink is hot. Once sent, we burn bridges." Alex said, "I never liked those bridges anyway." Dr. Cole said, "Mercy is a tool, not a law." Alex steps into the cone of light and lets the world weigh him. Evelyn said, "Be wise and be mine." Alex said, "I will be neither." He tosses the decoy and hits send on the real sin. The fog swallows the moment and spits back alarms. Sirens flare, and the SUV sprints forward like a threat learning to walk. Evelyn said, "You threw a toy and mailed me a knife." Alex said, "Knives cut both ways." The drone projects lilies feed onto the mist, and the room behind her shows a stenciled crown. Jonah said, "Ping traces to a warehouse leased by Mara Shell." Mara said, "I moved her to keep vultures from circling." Alex said, "You chained a child to your cause." Dr. Cole said, "It bought us a chance to end this engine." Alex said, "It bought me a nightmare that breathes." Sophia said, "The upload spread to 3 mirrors. She cannot cage it clean." Evelyn said, "Then I cage you instead." Tires squeal, spotlights rake the water, and the pier drinks the noise. Alex feels the choice grab his collar and whisper new prices. Alex corners Mara by the bollards where rust tastes like old pennies. Alex said, "You held my daughter like collateral." Mara said, "I held her away from wolves that wear perfume." He steps closer, and the floodlight makes their breaths visible sins. Mara said, "You only steal for love when loss is guaranteed." Alex said, "You were my ally until you renamed theft as mercy." Dr. Cole said, "I told her leverage wakes sleeping hearts." Alex said, "You taught me to carry weight, not to create it." Sophia said, "We can still extract Lily without surrendering the drive." Mara said, "The extraction is set if he keeps streaming." Evelyn said, "Argue later. I collect now." The dock groans, and the river keeps count like a patient judge. Alex feels the old faith crack, and something harsher fits the space. The SUV door yawns, and Evelyn steps into the light like a verdict with lipstick. Evelyn said, "Years ago, I kept you out of a cell after the Orpheus fiasco." Alex said, "You called it mercy. I call it a leash." She lifts a tablet, and a warrant gleams like a polished blade. Evelyn said, "Hand me the original, and I erase your name from the ledger." Jonah said, "Patrol cars 4 minutes out, signal jamming rising." Sophia said, "If you trade, the prisons stay full, and the ghosts keep working." Dr. Cole said, "A smaller wound still bleeds less." Alex said, "I am tired of dressing the wrong patient." The drone dips, searching for a confession that can be sold. Evelyn said, "Choose gratitude and live." Alex said, "I choose the truth and pay." The tide slaps iron, and the morning forgets to be gentle. The upload queue blooms like a storm garden, and fear hums through the cables. Jonah said, "I can mask informant names and leave the crimes naked." Dr. Cole said, "Do it, and save the ones who helped." Sophia said, "Redaction buys safety, but feeds delay." Evelyn said, "Delay buys coffins." Mara said, "I release Lily once the mirrors go public." Alex said, "You release her now, or I stream uncut." Wind flares the light and makes his threat look taller than he feels. Jonah said, "Filter ready, but it will cost minutes." Alex said, "We spend them on people, not polish." Dr. Cole said, "Mercy is not weakness, it is engineering." Alex said, "Then engineer me a way that spares the innocent and damns the powerful." The river answers with a cold hiss that sounds like a fuse. The stream ignites, and the city's veins light with names that used to hide. Evelyn said, "Kill the feed, and I will forget your face." Alex said, "Remember it, it testifies." Jonah said, Mirrors locked. Edits rolling. We keep the innocents ghosted. Mara said, release is in motion. Do not choke now. Dr. Cole said, take responsibility. In the open. Alex said, I will. Because truth is hungrier than I am. He records a statement that nails his mask to the table. Sophia said, we just made enemies with payrolls. Alex said, then we send invoices to history. Sirens arrive like applause from wolves. Evelyn said, you chose theater over survival. Alex said, I chose a ledger you cannot edit. The fog breaks, and daylight finds his face without permission. Dawn scrapes gold across the pier, and alarms echo like gulls that learned sirens. Jonah said, mirrors are stable, but she is moving assets. Alex said, then I move faster than my fear. Evelyn said, bring the original, and the child walks. Mara said extraction team is 2 blocks and cautious. Dr. Cole said, a clean exit needs a dirty entrance. Alex said, I will be the stain that buys her breath. Sophia said, broadcast is live. Choose words you can live under. Alex steps into the lane where light turns truth theatrical. Evelyn said, confess to obstruction, and I erase your old sins. Alex said, confession without repair is vanity. The city inhales, and his choice hardens like poured steel. The water slaps pylons, counting seconds he cannot afford to waste. Alex said, release her now, and I walk into your car. Evelyn said, you first, then the ribbon falls. Jonah said, her van is idling near Dock C. Heat shows 2 guards. Mara said, window is 60 if you buy it with skin. Alex said, I have skin. Take the barter. Dr. Cole said, do not let pride write the contract. Alex said, love writes this one, and pride reads later. Sophia said, say it on record so she cannot edit the past. Alex said, I surrender for safe release, verified live. Evelyn smiles like a locked door that learned manners. The lane narrows, and the morning feels like a witness with a pen. The cuffs glitter, and his pulse drums a code Jonah already knows. Jonah said, kill switch on her device. It maps to Dock C. Alex said, then I fail beautifully, and buy you 10. Mara said, trip the breaker, and make theater into smoke. Dr. Cole said, precision, not fury, or the innocent pays. Alex said, fury will ride shotgun, precision will steer. Sophia said, camera on you, make the world your witness. Alex stumbles deliberately and knocks the tablet as lights flicker. Evelyn said, cute, but the leash is digital. Jonah said, power sag in 3, 2, now, move. Sirens swell, and the pier sighs like a beast turning over. Alex chooses chaos that shields, not chaos that devours. Power dips, and Dock C exhales a cough of startled shouts. Mara said, window open, I am on the latch. Jonah said, door maglock is soft. I am peeling it. Alex said, keep her eyes on me. Evelyn said, you are brave in borrowed darkness. Dr. Cole said, redirect authority to a higher alarm. Give her a prettier fire. Sophia said, broadcast map overlay. Show the rescue in split. Alex faces the SUV and lifts his hands like a promise he intends to keep. Evelyn said, kneel. And I forget the earlier mess. Alex said, I kneel to love, not to leverage. The sirens braid into a rope that tugs at the morning. Somewhere, smaller heartbeat learns a freer rhythm. A shout cracks, and the van door opens onto a breath he recognizes by memory. Jonah said, target safe. Route West Alley. 30 seconds to clean. Mara said, I have her. Move the world away from us. Evelyn said, you will still pay the bill you wrote. Alex said, send the invoice to my name, not hers. Dr. Cole said, step into custody with your terms and anchor the truth. Alex said, terms are simple. The child walks, and the record stands. Sophia said, statement rolling, seal it with your choice. Alex drops to his knees and crosses his wrists before she asks. Evelyn said, at last, a practical man. Alex said, not practical, accountable. The sun finally clears the fog, and the day sees what it bought. The interview room hums with bad coffee and fluorescent guilt, while the city wakes without asking permission. Alex said, "Confirm she is safe and I sign your paper." Sophia said, "She is with us," and the camera never blinks. Evelyn said, "Your hero tape bought you cuffs, not halos." Jonah said, "Public defender pinged, I routed a better one." Dr. Cole said, "Tell the truth plainly and let the math hurt." Alex said, "I stole the drive and I streamed the crimes." Evelyn said, "You endangered an investigation for applause." Mara said, "You endangered a child for convenience." The two-way glass holds their reflections like suspects with matching faces. Jonah said, "Mirrors hold, scrubbed names remain hidden." Sophia said, "Reporters want a statement, not a martyrdom." Dr. Cole said, "Own the cost, not the spectacle." Alex said, "I will carry the bill if she keeps her breath." The clock ticks like a metronome that lost its song and kept the beat. The safe house smells like cinnamon and bleach, and the kettle tries to pass for calm. Mara said, "Windows are covered, and the route out stays dark." Sophia said, "Social services will interview, but I hold the record." Lily said, "Is Dad in trouble for saving me?" Mara said, "He is in trouble for choosing you, which is a kind of courage." Sophia said, "We show the stream, and the truth makes room." Alex said, "Tell her I kept my promise late, not never." Jonah said, "Press is sharpening knives and questions." Mara said, "Let them, because the cut belongs to those who deserve it." Dr. Cole said, "Children should not carry the price of adult bargains." Alex said, "Then make the adults pay." The kettle clicks and quiet lands like a bird that has flown too far to judge. In the hallway outside the room, power shifts like weather no forecast admits. Evelyn said, "Sign the waiver and reduce your damage." Alex said, "I reduce nothing you sold as normal." Dr. Cole said a plea might protect the witnesses. Alex said, "Witnesses are people, not sandbags." Jonah said, "Traffic shows the upload seated overseas." Evelyn said, "Offshore does not equal untouchable." Sophia said, "The audit trail shows your signatures dancing." Evelyn said, "It shows a system that pays for silence." Mara said, "It also shows a door we can close for good." Alex said, "Close it, but do not brick us in." The hallway clock wheezes and a copier coughs as if bureaucracy had lungs. The press room blooms with cables and hungry lenses, and the air tastes like batteries. Sophia said, "On record, we protected informants and exposed crimes." Jonah said, "Hashes and timestamps verify the chain." Evelyn said, "The chain includes a thief with a camera." Alex said, "The thief stole from a vault that held ghosts." Dr. Cole said, "I will testify to the pattern and the pressure." Mara said, "I will testify to the child and the leverage." A reporter asked whether ends can absolve means, and nobody applauded the question. Alex said, "My means belong to me, and my end belongs to her." Evelyn said, "Your virtue is a brand you cannot afford." Sophia said, "Then let the public price it," and the room absorbed the line like heat. The microphones flickered, and the moment wrote itself. After the cameras blink, the corridor returns to its old cough, and choices settle like dust. Evelyn said, "You will face charges that do not care for context." Alex said, "Context will face me, and we will both stand." Jonah said, "Bail hearing at noon. I seated community council." Dr. Cole said, "I will bring the paper trail that stains my hands." Mara said, "I will move her again until the heat cools." Lily said, "Can I see Dad after the questions stop?" Sophia said, "You can see him through the window, and he will see you through the noise." Alex said, "Tell her the stars kept our seats." Evelyn said, "Romance the jury if you must. Evidence remains." Alex said, "So does the breath I fought for." The day brightens without forgiving anything, and the hallway keeps its promise to echo. The courtroom smells of varnish and weathered oaths, and the benches creak like old ships. Evelyn said, "Return the original, and the world forgets your footprint." Alex said, "Forgetting is how we arrived here." Sophia said, "The mirrors stand, and the public can count." Jonah said, "Chain of custody verified, hashes intact." Dr. Cole said, "I will testify that the pressure systemized harm." Mara said, "And that leverage was used against a child." Evelyn said, "Emotion paints well, but law buys the frame." Alex said, "Then frame me, but leave the faces you hid." The clerk coughs, and paper whispers like nervous rain. Alex said, "I plead to theft and exposure, and I claim necessity." Evelyn said, "You claim sainthood by confession." Alex said, "I claim accountability and a living child." On the courthouse steps the sun feels like cross-examination, and microphones bloom like thorn. Evelyn said, "Plea includes a gag, or flames follow your friends." Alex said, "Gags are for crimes that fear daylight." Sophia said, "Statement stands. Redactions protect the willing." Jonah said, "Community council is ready to hold the line." Mara said, "We moved the child twice before dusk." Dr. Cole said, "This bargain will try to buy your silence again." Alex said, "I will rent nothing from fear." Evelyn said, "Principle does not pay bail." Alex said, "It pays the bill I owe my daughter." The crowd sways like a tide learning to choose. Alex said, "If the cost is me, then the cost is paid." The visitation room holds a pain that weighs more than any door, and echoes stack like books. Lily said, "You were late, but you came anyway." Alex said, "I will always come, even if the road bites." Lily said, "Do heroes wear cuffs?" Alex said, "Only when they owe proof more than comfort." She presses a folded star against the glass, and his breath fogs its edges. Lily said, "Can we watch the sky again when this stops shouting?" Alex said, "Our seats are saved, and the stars remember names." Sophia said, "Time is short, but the line is open." Alex said, "I am learning to be brave the slow way." Lily said, "I am brave the small way." Alex said, "Small bravery is the kind that lasts." The clock blinks red and does not apologize. Night leans against the holding cell, and the radiator ticks like a tired judge. Dr. Cole said, "I signed deals that greased the harm you fought." Alex said, "Then testify until grease turns ash." Mara said, "Witnesses are moving under new names." Alex said, "Make sure their futures are not rented." Evelyn said, "Appeal will argue your theater endangered order." Alex said, "Order hid the door that trapped them." Dr. Cole said, "I feared losing the little good I had left." Alex said, "I feared becoming nothing, and I paid in pieces." Mara said, "We built a corridor of proof, walk it when they let you." Alex said, "I will crawl it, if I must." The bulb flickers once, like a tired star remembering how to burn. Near midnight, the sky presses a single clear star into the slit of his window, and silence learns depth. Jonah said, "Bail granted at dawn if conditions hold." Alex said, "Then dawn can borrow my name." Evelyn said, "Even free, your shadow stands trial." Alex said, "I will stand with it until it learns to sit." Sophia said, "The story will outlast today. Choose your last line." Alex said, "Tell them I traded ease for breath." Dr. Cole said, "Rest. We need you whole for the long repair." Alex said, "Wholeness is a road, not a shape." Lily said, "Good night, Dad. The star's still ours." Alex said, "Good night, little comet. Keep our seat warm." The light thins, and he forgives the part of himself that finally chose.